For a little while now, I've been kind of curious about Dungeons and Dragons. I kind of feel like I want to try it, but I've never played it, and I've never really had an opportunity to play it. I've never known anyone who's played it, and the most I knew about it for years was only through references or just kind of in passing. But uh, I guess a couple years ago, I watched Harmon Quest, and that was kind of my first real introduction to it. But I know that that's probably not completely accurate since it's a television show for entertainment, and there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it because of that. Um, but that kind of helped me get the gist of certain parts of it. At the same time, like I've never really liked the medieval setting. I don't hate it. It's never really been my thing. I didn't really like Lord of the Rings. Um, I don't feel like that makes it completely impossible for me to, get into something like Dungeons and Dragons, but I feel like that was kind of a hindrance towards me being curious about it even. Um, and getting introduced to the game itself sounds kind of difficult. I mean, you need a dungeon master, you need to create your characters, there's the dice rolls and numbers and whatnot. Uh, just the complexity of it kind of, I guess, comes off as unapproachable, maybe. I like the idea of, like, imagining your own adventure and going off on a quest to defeat the evil and creating your own storylines and whatnot. It sounds really interesting, and I feel like if I could get into it, if I could get my friends into it, maybe I'd have a good time. But and I've also heard like some of the hilarious situations that people's campaigns get into. I recall one where there was like an orc or something guarding a chest, and someone was like, "I want to open a dialogue with them about like racial problems and how we can come together as people to deal with these and grow to be better." And they succeeded in their role or something, and then the orc's like, "Okay, let's talk about this," and then he goes, "While he's distracted, I stab him with my sword." I know it's not like purely just the hilarious parts. I know some of it's like serious and you're like trying to succeed, but that definitely like helps my interest, I guess, that can even happen. And again, I know it's not just that, but yeah, my problem is I don't really think I would know where to start. Uh, like I'm sure we need a dungeon master, so someone would have to take up the helm. That means they'd have to like forego character creation, I'm sure, and unless they're like designing the campaign, in which case that sounds complicated and time consuming. Uh, like it's like this big intimidating thing that, despite sounding like fun, it just sounds so hard to do. And I feel like without someone to like introduce it, it's hard to start. And I think that's kind of unfortunate because I am curious about it. Maybe I wouldn't want to do the exact setting. Maybe I'd want to try something different. But I feel like that would also be more work. Um, and I wouldn't necessarily always want to be the dungeon master. I would probably want to do my own character. Even if I was the one to introduce it, even if I was the first dungeon master or whatever among my friend group, like I'd want to be able to switch out. I'd want to be able to have fun with that kind of stuff. Not to say that being a dungeon master is not fun. I don't really know what it's like. Um, yeah, I don't know. It just seems complicated, hard to get into. But I've been curious about it, and I've never really known where to start without knowing someone who does it. I'm sure I could probably like find someone who enjoys it and just be like, "Hey, I'm curious, teach me." And maybe they'd say yes. I'm sure they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we always need more people. That'd be fun." But I'm really shy, and I don't like going up to people and being like, "Hey, let's do stuff." Um, yeah, so that's why I've always been kind of interested in D&D and why it's hard for me to get into, or why it seems hard for like it would be hard for me to get into, and my friend group, I guess. I'm not really sure where to go from here, so I'm just going to end it. Uh, Thanks for listening to me rant, and have a great day.